post-Karimov of modernizers and reformers at high levels of the government, some in cabinet posts, with whom we've engaged intensively in 2018, 19, early 2020, and then again when we were there last March. These are people mostly educated abroad who have a vision of a reforming Uzbekistan that's really part of the global economy. It's hard to pin them down about their understanding of how, at least in our view, that being fully integrated in the global economy means respecting international labor and human rights standards, not just as a proposition around values, but to attract the kinds of brands, apparel, and others to source and invest and so forth. But there is a group there that we've engaged with. Our engagement has been up to the cabinet level: trade and investment, agriculture, labor, Deputy Prime Minister, the President of the Senate at the highest level, who's number 2 in the Constitution there, Madam Narbayeva. So the window really opened for reform, not just so much when President Karimov died, but when President Mirziyoyev made that speech, the 2 speeches, New York and Tashkent, in September of 2017, committing to reform. On the less positive side, and frankly the discouraging side, is that momentum for reform, as you observed in your question, seems to have dissipated. We hope not entirely. And the expectation, the opportunity created by the end of state-imposed forced labor, the lifting of the pledge, the boycott, should be an enabler of further reform, further modernization, but of foreign investment. But what we want is foreign investment by brands that are committed to the ILO core labor standards, UN guiding principles on business and human rights, and so forth. The ball is in the court of the government to take further tangible steps to create the enabling environment for further progress on labor rights and human rights necessary to attract the Julie's members and other global brands in Europe that actually adhere to global standards and will feel the arm of law enforcement from their home country governments and stakeholders and shareholders if they don't. So the Uzbek government needs to get back on the reform wagon here and drive forward and frankly not blow an historic opportunity that they helped create for themselves by ending, albeit with pressure and engagement from us, especially our civil society colleagues on the ground, to end state-imposed forced labor. They need to go further now. We're in the 3rd decade of the 21st century. There are global standards, and if they're serious about creating jobs and economic opportunity, but they have to make the choice: keep the screws on for a repressive regime, or open up a little more to allow this young country grow, thrive, and prosper.